Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Sleeping Warrior, Neil, Father of a Stolen Child, 10th Man, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome one and all. And Arwin.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Morning.
Hola.
Hola.
I ain't getting no dang notification.
Yeah, the
Adios.
live show's a bit... I'm thinking about whether or not to work in a That Umbrella Guy style expansion to my appeal to people in terms of sharing the show, because we get very little support in that regard. Not that I'm going to moan too much, but yeah, please share the show. Very important that you do, covering the fundamental nature of our reality on the show. I'd say it's worthy of a share.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Arwin. Very good to have you
okay,
as
yeah,
well.
the mic was getting weird. It turned off.
I see.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting stuff to bring up right at the beginning of the live show.
It
Any
is.
Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere-edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
It's getting weird because it's turned off. It was there.
Things disappearing from sight into the distance. Bottom-up concealment. It's all going over the curve. That's the only reason it can disappear.
What curve? We've debunked the curve.
Well, if it's hey, Adam, if it's bottoms up at Arwen, then it's toast.
Hey Adam, hey Chocolate.
Good morning, guys. What's up?
Good morning.
I think the
Go on.
I like that
I
guys
think
in Fear
the-
and Mirage right there going on. That's pretty cool.
The guy with the Mirage. What?
In Fear and Mirage, you got it on your YouTube.
It's just a reflection.
It's in, yeah, reflection. It was a joke. Haha.
Yeah, the beautiful flat plane that we dwell atop. The salt flats. Very, very flat. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety, of course?
yeah, gyro ring laser gyros process at 15 degrees an hour.
It's a Coriolis claim.
Woohoo! Yes.
Oh,
Thanks, Bob.
Yes.
Ring laser gyros do it, but regulars don't. But that's okay because Coriolis deflection is selective.
No, it's not.
Some
when the
things
Glovers-
deviate, some
when
things
the
don't.
Glovers,
Take some steps. Right, so it's a Coriolis claim. Do you appreciate, in the first instance, what that claim entails in terms of reference frames?
Yeah, it requires two.
Yes, correct. A rotating...
At least two.
Yeah, a rotating non-inertial reference frame which you will be a part of. Hence it's termed non-inertial because you're going to be part of that turning reference frame. So from your vantage point, the ground beneath you is stationary, you're part of it. So non-inertial, but that reference frame is spinning. And another separate reference frame which is not part of the non-inertial spinning reference frame, that would be called the inertial reference frame. Would you agree?
Yes, that would be space.
Yeah, okay, if you say so. So when the gyro spins in fixed space, Happy with those terms?
Yes.
The gyro itself is not claimed to deviate. Its core property is that it does not drift, correct?
Yes, that it's not actually deviating.
No,
Not an actual deviation.
Correct. Coriolis are not actual drift. So gyro's principal property is that it's going to rotate in fixed space and not drift. But the cage around it is claimed to drift because it's attached to a spinning reference frame, correct?
Yes. Yes.
So therefore, by way of this assertion, Earth is a non-inertial spinning reference frame turning beneath an inertial reference frame for us to observe this not actual drift of a gyro, correct?
The Earth system, yes, is the non-inertial reference frame.
Where would we observe this effect of drift caused by a non-inertial turning reference frame spinning beneath an inertial reference frame, other than the gyro or pendulum? Where would we observe this in nature?
Mostly
The
from
sun,
the
the
ground.
stars.
So your assertion would be that the sun and stars only appear to move. They're not actually moving. It's merely the effect of us turning beneath them.
Yes.
Then we'd be turning underneath everything else. What else do
But
we
not
observe
really,
in
because
nature?
everything moves
Straw
together.
man.
Hold on. The claim is Coriolis before someone jumps in with everything's turning together. That's not the claim. Coriolis is a non-inertial turning reference frame turning beneath an inertial reference frame. That's the claim. So beyond the gyro, which is definitely not in space, it's on the ground, and the pendulum, or the pendulum I should say, and the sun, what else experiences a 15 degrees an hour deviation in nature? What else is experiencing it?
Everything within the Earth system is conserving the orbital momentum of that system.
Orbiting is a begging the question fallacy. So, conserving the momentum that you are assuming is proven by the sun and the gyro, correct?
Yes.
So if the gyro is proving that Earth is turning beneath it, then it would also turn beneath anything else that's not attached, separate to that reference frame.
Yes, the Earth system. Yes.
The second time you said it. What do you mean Earth system?
Wouldn't it also have to be a ball to be turning in the first place?
He's claiming that from the movement of the sun and the gyro. So far he's got that covered.
But yeah, the Earth system, it's everything within the gravitational field of the Earth.
Would that not include a gyroscope? Or a pendulum?
Well, I wouldn't use a ring laser one
Hold
because
on.
it does have.
He's got an angle he's not exploited before, and I want to see how far he can take it. Sorry, would that not also then apply to the gyro?
No, it's fixed in space, not in the system.
Orbital momentum. It's all about orbital momentum.
Okay, so you've got your claim proof is sun moves because Earth turns beneath a gyro that's in fixed space or a pendulum that's swinging in fixed space, correct? But your claim is that nothing else will retain that velocity of the Earth turning beneath it because it's not in fixed space, it's part of the Earth system. Explain the Earth system to me then. What's that?
Sticky gas.
He's getting there. You're all keen.
It's the preponderance of matters surrounding the bending of
No, I
space-time
don't think so. I think
position
he's-
of the center of the Earth.
He knows where his head gets cut off. It's his argument, so he's trying to think of some padding to put in between this and an assertion of radiance. But we'll see what his padding is. Go ahead, John. Maybe he's caught with screaming kids at this particular moment in time. So far, we've got...
It
Go on.
is. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm waiting for you. So my response so far is that you've got a claim that Earth turns beneath as a non-inertial spinning reference frame beneath a gyro or pendulum, and the reason that they are going to swing and not be affected by any gravitational of forces which we haven't got into yet is because they're in fixed space like outer space. So I'm saying, okay, fine. So you've got two things that are claimed to prove Earth's turning beneath. One's because that's only in fixed space. I'm just summarizing your position so far. Am I correct so far?
Yeah. That's I'm almost there.
Yeah. So the next position you've put forward is that nothing else will do it when I've asked, well, what else in nature's drifting? And you've said it's part of the Earth's system. Well, what's that?
Everything that's within the bending of space-time of the Earth mass.
That's padding you're not going to get away with. No, that's fourth dimensional. We're only talking about non-inertial and inertial reference frames as opposed to pseudo-4 space. We're in a different geometry. So do you want to go down that road to give padding? We can if you like. It's up to you. You have mentioned gravity.
Well, okay, I would say like magnetic fields. That's the only thing.
Okay.
What? No. You're
Guys.
supposed to say in pseudo-Riemannian force space, orbits are straight lines. Come on.
No,
Right.
no. He's asserted that there's a force
What's an
that
orbit?
creates a system, and that's gravitational. So I'm going to let that slide. That's fine. He's got it, and I'm going to beg the question with him. But if you're saying that's the case and nothing else is deviating because it's in a system, well, what's the system? Why wouldn't it deviate? Why wouldn't things that aren't gyros or the sun deviate then, according to you? There you go. That's the question to get it to the end.
Well, it's conserving the orbital momentum of that system.
Orbital momentum, eh? I already said that orbits is a begging the question fallacy. Where'd you get the value? What value are we talking about? Or orbits? Need me to expand on the question? When speaking specifically about the sun and its fixed position and the Earth claimed to be rotating underneath, where'd you get the value for that system?
Well, we can calculate it with radians.
Because of the assumption that it's a sphere in an orbit, you've got the radius value to calculate the radians that it's retaining the velocity at, correct?
Yeah.
But you don't have a radius value. We've debunked it with the black swan. If the Earth is a sphere radius 3959, then every distance to horizon could be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. And we have demonstrable evidence that shows the horizon is in excess of the geometric limitations of a sphere radius 3959. Therefore, your radian value for the retention of angular velocity to explain why you don't have deviation in anything other than a pendulum, gyro, or your claim that the sun is fixed, not moving with relation to a spinning Earth.
Yeah, but you don't need radians because in pseudo-Riemannian force space, it's a straight line.
Pseudo-Riemannian force space is confined by the assumptions of R, distances to suns based on R. That whole methodology is based in R. You need to know the size of everything and the scale of everything to make any of the calculations. Well, the scales have come from R, so you definitely need it.
Yeah, but if R is universal, then you technically, mathematically don't need to calculate it. It's just that it's universal. When R is universal mathematically, then you don't need to.
Yeah, that's
you
correct.
can fill in any value. It's always going to
He
work.
never shuts up.
It's
He'll
all
make his
straight
point, then
lines.
waffle through me trying to reply. Does it every time. Yes, I heard your point. So, yes, that's true mathematically. You can have R held as a constant. And even if your opponent like us points out that that's just begging the question, they say, yeah, but R's a constant in the maths. We already know. But what does R represent? Well, what is it? It's the radius. Well, radius of what? Well, a claim that we're on a sphere. Well, that would have physical geometric limitations, as claimed in their maths. And we've debunked it. So while you might be able to hold R as a constant, and you all did, didn't you, fundies, back in the day? Of course we can beg the question of R. Just telling us that we're assuming it isn't good enough. We already know it's held as a constant in our maths, right? No, it also represents the geometry of Earth and its limitations that we've debunked. So no, holding it constant isn't acceptable, I'm afraid, Arwin. You're just not going to get away with begging the question because you say you already know.
I'm sorry, but I totally disagree.
Isn't it funny how they call it a constant, but yet they put it in an equation and try to change it, and then talk about light?
Yeah, but we do have
Like
R. It's the equator line. The total length of the equator line is the radius.
Equator
try.
line.
What's the equator? What is the equator?
That's figured out through the orientation of the celestial bodies.
So sod all to do with the outside edge of a sphere, then?
No, because it does actually line up.
Oh, right.
The length of the line is the radius. It's very obvious.
So you're saying the movement of the sun through the seasons and the midpoint that it represents, then determined to be a non-fixed location on the ground called the equator with no demarcation points whatsoever, that average matches your assumption of an average of an outside edge of a sphere. This is meaningless.
Yes! Finally, you're getting it.
I love it when you point out that that was such a rumpus move. Beautifully executed, Arwin.
You're welcome.
We had a rumpus move last night, Darwin, didn't we, with him? His new one, Nathan, he came in Brandon's last night and was with his R value. You know how you always warn of him putting his disclaimer in first thing and then carries on. So his new one is to do with the horizon, it being the horizon, it being geographical, but we're within 5% of the actual value. We pointed out last night, I asked Lumpus, he did run off and wouldn't do the maths. Gleam did it for us. But if we take the black swan image, that's at, say, roughly 10 miles. And the geometric horizon on their ball should be at 1.225 miles. It actually means it's not within 5%. According to the black swan, it's within 796%. So...
Hey, I agree. Tenth knows how much he gets an earful when he does this, right? So I'll spare you because it's the first time you've done it, Adam. But tisk, tisk, tisk. So you started off by saying it's within 5% of what?
Yeah. No, that was the point. That was the point. His first disclaimer, he gets the dirty bit out first, the bit that where all the disagreement is, and then moves on. But that's what he's to claim it is real, but it's not real. The real one is where we see is within 5% of the one that we see.
Yes.
But why did the radius
Hold on, guys. Hello. It's the bit I wanted you to repeat.
Yeah.
So it's within 5% of what?
The apparent position of the horizon. But again, what he's saying is he's again now trying to go back and make it geometric. But it's geometric within 5%.
No. You're still missing the nuance of what I'm trying to get across here.
Is that apparent position?
Chocolate will follow. Yeah, I knew chocolate would jump in eventually. So it's within 5% of what now? What's he getting within 5% of?
Within R.
Within 5% of something that you can't see, can't verify, can't measure. How do you know it's within 5% of it?
Well, that's the point. It's not.
Well, no, because of the equator length. Come on.
Yeah, we've covered
That was the line I'm saying he's bringing out first for you to accept to move on past. Once you accept that, and that's what you as well. It's exactly within 5% of what you accept that maths, even though you can challenge the maths. But as soon as you've done that, you've accepted that suddenly it's back to being geometric.
Yeah,
you can't see it, but the thing you can see is within 5% of
the one that we can't verify in any way, shape, or form is within 5% of anything because it doesn't exist. It only exists in the maths. But based on the maths and what we've assumed in the maths and the horizon and how it matches up in reality, it's within 5% of something I can't measure or see to verify any of this. But by doing so, you're already into assuming that it's within 5% of something I haven't got, can't get, and has been debunked by the Black Swan. So just assume it. It's within 5% of it. And what's it? The horizon I haven't got, can't measure, can't verify.
And Nathan, why can't you do a modus tollens on that?
We have. If the Earth is a sphere, radius 3959, then every distance to horizon can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. and it's beyond the geometric limitations of that it, in quotes, that it's within 5% of. It is that geometric limitation that we've debunked. So they don't have it for it to be 5% of something you can't see, can't measure, doesn't exist.
No, I meant the modus tollens for Rumpus is 5%. You can do a modus tollens.
Good.
Because you're begging the question with the modus tollens in the proper way. Why can't you do it with the 5% in the proper way?
Because then we're into begging the question within the modus tollens. Well, you've already
No, I'm
demolished
saying-
the need for R within modus tollens. And then you say, well, if once you've demolished R, you then reintroduce R as a begging the question fallacy and then point out that without R, you can't assume R to get within 5% of R. Therefore, we've debunked your claim of a refracted geometric horizon. It's an oxymoron in the modus tollens if you do that, because you haven't got R to begin with to beg the question of it within the logical consistency.
But you
That's
haven't
what I
got
was saying. Why bring back R?
Yeah,
You
that's
haven't
where...
got
You're saying you
Adam,
can't use the
this is
R
your
that
fault.
you don't have?
This is your fault, Adam. So, 10th used to argue this like a stuck record.
Damn it,
Now he's
Adam.
back into it. Well, once we've debunked R, they say that based on an assumption of the R you've just debunked, you get within 5% of the R that you've just debunked. Well, let's debunk that. I don't need to.
No, I
Why
agree.
go back to the radius?
You guys are impatient as whatever. If you're going to use a modus tollens on an R that doesn't exist and it destroys R, and then they say, well, it does, but we can't see it. And we say, yeah, you're dead. Right there, you're dead. We all know that. And then their high priest, Andrew Thomas Young, comes and says, well, here's the approximate nature of what the horizon we see is to the geometric horizon. And he blows those numbers, obviously, because there's no R to begin with, and no one ever saw it to even give it 5% next to it. What Adam is saying is that they're dead on both accounts. And I'm saying, okay, we don't have to go that far, but if we did, could we frame it in a modus tollens? It's just a question.
No, because you've got to insert a fallacy into your logical consistency. So no, you can't. That's why I got so aggressive with you last time you tried
That's
to
why I
do
was
this.
told off.
And then
You're right.
what?
I say you're right. So I am. You are re-begging it once you go back. But it was maths, Nathan, and I can't help it when Rumpus was wrong at maths. That's why.
Or when they say we can get within 5% of R, and R is based on that tangent point geometric horizon, yeah? We can get within 5% of R. No, they don't say it in that way. But you go, how'd you get R? Well, we're within 5% of it. Yeah. How'd you get the R, though, to be within 5% of it? Well, you don't. It's the end of the argument.
Correct.
Were they saying that the apparent horizon is 5% difference from the geometric horizon before they lost the physicality of the geometric horizon?
No, before that they were claiming they had a physical geometric spheroid horizon, which they all did the maths with a tangent to the horizon to claim it was Earth curve. That's where Rumpus had to lie. He already had Andrew Thomas Young's explanation for a refracted horizon, but then went on to tell us that we knew the items were refracted because of their position with respect to the horizon, a horizon he was drawing tangents to. So when it came to this in the Isle of Man, I actually asked him, I drew my mouse over the horizon and said, what's this? And he got very fussy and very stammery and stuttery and avoided the question. And at the time, 4 years ago or 3 years ago, I didn't know why. Now I know exactly why, because he was lying then when he claimed we had Earth curve with a tangent drawn to it by him at the Isle of Man. Now, the reason he's now having to say, I refracted the lighthouse, is because he lied. He lied then, he's lying now. He didn't refract the lighthouse. He just refracted the lighthouse. Yeah, he can't say it because he didn't do it. The maths has changed. Now they've got a refracted horizon that's within 5% of something you can't see. The moment it's mentioned, the liar that is the Rumpus appears. So I don't know why you've come back, Rumpus. I've proven that you are a liar. Why are you even here?
I would like to take credit for
I
derailing.
told you in the Isle of Man that everything was refracted. Are you?
That's a total lie. You drew a tangent to a horizon and you're more than happy to come here and lie. Get out! You complete liar. Telling me that everything's refracted when you're literally drawing a tangent makes you a liar. Keep coming here and telling me that you refracted everything because you gave an explanation about how everything was refracted while you simultaneously drew tangents. Making you a liar. Keep coming here and punting it. I'll just keep kicking you out, you damn right liar.
I would like to take credit for derailing the housekeeping questions, and I'm going to claim victory on conservation of orbital velocity because of that.
What? You think you're going to jump in
Orbital
off the back of
momentum.
that and claim victory where you had a radian value you told us to debunk it with? They can't acquire it without a radius value, and if Earth's sphere radius 3959, every distance to horizon would be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That would be what gave you your radius value to assert your radians in your orbital assumption. You haven't got it, we debunked it already. Why would you jump in and take victory here?
No, the equator line
and-
is the circumference. Come on.
And
not.
what's an orbit?
Begging the question fallacy. No, it's not, Arwin. It's an average of the sun's movement.
Right.
Is
And
there,
the
is
Earth
there
is
an
in the
actual
middle
line,
of it,
are we?
and the Earth is underneath it, spinning 24 hours, and that's how we know that's the radius.
Does it draw a line then that you can measure?
Now we can use, what is it, triangulation or whatever, some tool, some measuring tool to basically extract the data required in order
Yeah,
to
it's an
establish
extrapolation.
the equator line, which is the circumference.
Yeah, when you assume that that midpoint between the sun during the seasons, averaged, is the outside edge of a sphere, you have to make the assumption that it's a line that doesn't exist on the ground at the outside edge of a sphere. But that isn't what it is. It's the average of those celestial bodies' movements. So it isn't. You just make that assumption when you make that statement, Arwin.
Yeah, but it works out.
Just working
So
out
if
doesn't
it
mean your
works out,
assumption's
then
correct.
why can't you presuppose if it all works out?
So you're
Why
saying
can't I just
the
beg the
math
question?
works out in the math. All right, thanks, Art.
Sure. I
You're
was
welcome.
just doing virtual with my stepson, and his teacher says Mercury goes 117 miles an hour around the sun. And I told her, "Did you know they don't do natural science in astrophysicists?" And she looked at me like I was crazy.
Anthony, why are you suggesting that I should subject my audience to more lies from Rumpus?
I think a man that's been accused of lying is deserved. He deserves a chance to defend himself. Let's hear more lies.
He has defended himself. His defence is to say that he refracted everything because he gave a presentation on refracting everything, while simultaneously deviating from a straight line when doing the geometry, Anthony? Did he refract the tangent point?
No.
So he's lying, and his defence is I refracted everything. The same lie is his defence. I refracted everything. What about that tangent you drew? No, you didn't
Yeah, do you
refract
remember when
everything.
he was...
He's a liar. Proven.
Do you remember when he had his rays, all his individual rays? They were all curving over the horizon, weren't they? None of them were curving over a refracted horizon. They were all refracting over curving over the actual geometric horizon. That was what he showed in his presentation that was never quite finished 3 years ago.
He specifically told us that you knew they were refracted because of their position with respect to the horizon, which he was drawing tangents to. That's what Earth curve was claimed to be. Now he's saying I refracted everything. That is a lie. If he refracted everything, he wouldn't have drawn a straight line to the horizon. So he is a liar. No two ways about this.
I know, but I think we should still hear him like grovel and try and weasel his way out of it. He's cornered.
Don't ruin it. Just let him on. We
Why?
need it. We need a
Why?
ruckus.
He's had 3 opportunities. I've had several people in my comment section saying, yeah, we'll give him another opportunity to come back. He's come back. I've taken him off mute. I've had 2-3 videos pointing out his lie. He's come back 2 or 3 occasions, and every time he says, I refracted everything. That is a lie. He's defended it 3 times with the same lie. You want me to have him back again to say, no, I did refract everything? For me to say, well, you drew a straight line to a horizon in your geometry, so you didn't refract that straight line. That's a lie. How many more times have I got to say it? He is a liar.
Oh, well, there is one benefit.
Well,
of doing
hold
it,
on.
mate.
But there might philosophically be a chance you just didn't understand. So give him another chance.
I didn't understand when he did the geometry and drew a straight line. I know what a straight line is, Arwin. He didn't bend it. He's saying he bent everything. No, he didn't bend the tangent line. That is a lie. It's not that I didn't understand that when he drew a straight line, actually it was bent. I didn't understand that that straight was bent. No, it was just a straight tangent required to do the geometry he was asserting when refracting targets with respect to that tangent point in his maths. So I know what he did. I'm not stupid. I've got it recorded. I've gone back and looked. I'm not misunderstanding his lie. He is just lying. Refracted everything? No, you drew a tangent. So he definitely didn't refract everything as he lies about it.
Fucking hell. Give me a minute, guys. So if you allow him on to show us what the difference is between when he does refract it compared to when he doesn't refract it, it makes fuck all difference. Let him on and let him present it both ways.
Yeah, you're
What? Let him present his lie?
I'm with Nathan, right? He's a liar. He's a witch. Burn him.
Sorry, he's already presented it at the Isle of Man. That's what I'm citing as his lie. So you're saying because he's lied, and we've called him on his lie, and can prove he's a liar, we should now let him represent the things he's lied about in a different format.
Yes.
I would just say, ask him one question. Is the geometric horizon a real measurement?
We already know it's not.
I,
We already know.
why put him on at all?
I think it's just everybody's. We're not suffering from a overburdening of a plethora of globe proof right now. So maybe everyone's just kind of bored. Like, hey, why don't we just let him on? But I get what you mean, though.
Hold on. He accuses Nathan of being a liar when he's the liar. Don't put him on.
Just see it as performance art, guys. Come on.
Oh, well, I like it because it brings out Nathan's
Goes
best
against everything.
arguments.
Goes against every fibre of my being, right?
Mm.
What my advice to any audience member, and I very rarely say, here's a piece of advice, right? If you encounter a liar, turn your back on them. Ask them for more reasons why they lied, because do you know what they'll do? Like Rumpus has done, they'll just lie more. Well, you're the fool if you subject yourself to that, right? Are you fools?
I can't believe I'm hearing this from you, Nathan. You know you are a trained actor. How can you say something like that?
This is not a performance, right? When I'm discussing the nature of reality, that's not a scripted act that I've rehearsed, right? And when I'm lied to on multiple occasions by a man, as someone has just pointed out, not that this factors into it, has accused me on multiple occasions of lying where I have not. In this instance, proven liar, no two ways about it. Refracted everything is his defence. No, straight line tangent. End of argument, you've proven liar. Well, do I want to keep entertaining proven liars? No. Same way with NASA. Do I watch NASA and comment on NASA videos? No. They're liars. Turn my back on those people.
I know, but Nathan, if you burn the man at the stake, then you're going to risk flat earthers getting the reputation of where we just kill people because they lie. And we don't want that reputation. We want to expose these people, surely.
I have exposed him. Feel free to go and watch my video where he lies to me. Yeah, I've just published it in the last couple of days, a shorter clip, a shorter version. If you don't have Earth Curve, Just Lie was the original video, 17 minutes solid of Rumpus lying and stuttering his way about the refracted lighthouse because he couldn't say refracted horizon because he never did. He's a liar. Now, I know why he's stuttering and stammering over his lies because he's been caught in a lie. Now, I don't want any more lies. I don't want any more subject to my audience either. Why should I?
I just want to hear him defend his and grovel his bullshit way around it. Let's hear him explain it.
You did. I let him off mute. I specifically detailed the lie. His response, I refracted everything. The same lie, Anthony. That's what they do. He's done it twice since being called on his lie and saying he refracted everything. I refracted the lighthouse. Yeah, because he didn't. So what? You want me to endure a liar continually? I already knew he was a liar, but now I can prove it, and I've got a justifiable reason to turn my back on him without any crap from any audience members, and you're encouraging the liar to return. No, I've proven that this man is lying to you about the nature of your world.
No, forgive me. I'm not encouraging his return. What I'm encouraging is if he was to demonstrate his non-lie with the orthographic view and show us the difference between if he was lying compared to if he's not lying, that refracted horizon doesn't change jack.
Well, he's always quoting Andrew Thomas Young. So what's good about this is if he comes, he's one of two options. He's lying because he's been lied to, or he's lying because Andrew Thomas lied and they both are lying. And that's what I'm seeing.
I already know the answer to that. He had Andrew Thomas Young's diagram whilst he told us that you know it's refracted because of its position with the lighthouse. He already had Andrew Thomas Young's diagram. He already knew that the refraction with respect to the horizon was a lie when he told it 3 years ago. I knew it then, I just didn't know why.
This topic is difficult enough without people being intentionally deceitful in it.
Exactly. We're pointing out how and why they lie. When it reaches a conclusion and their only option is to continually lie, well then, I've won. Rumpus, you've lost. You're a demonstrable liar, and the problem you have is based in the Black Swan argument. It's just taken 18 months for me to get to the point where you've got to overtly lie about what you've done in the past when claiming Earth curve. That's a geometric horizon that you drew a tangent point to, while you now lie about refracting, quote, everything. No, you did not. A tangent with a straight line wasn't refracted. And that's what Andrew Thomas Young's diagram showed you when you told us. Lies about knowing they were refracted because of their position with the tangent point, horizon you drew a straight line to. And now have to lie about it being refracted also? That would include everything? Liar. You're not going to get away with it. You're lying about being on a globe.
That's the point, Tony, that
is kind of funny.
we started with. What Rumpus was going to come in with was to continue his lie in a different way and make the statement that it's within 5%, so it doesn't matter anyway. And we'd already covered it before it arrived. So he's kind of pointless, isn't he? Because he only brings another lie to the table for us to quickly dismantle to demonstrate what a liar he is and what a continued liar he is. I'm with you, Nathan.
Yeah, this is difficult enough for most people without introducing deception further into it. It doesn't make sense.
And that's on me. I run the show. So I do have a say in it. And if I say, well, I know he's a proven liar, I've proven it and published videos where he has to stammer over his lie about refracting a horizon back at the Isle of Man he was claiming to prove as Earth curve. Well, no, he was lying then. I know, I've seen Andrew Thomas Young's diagram flash by on his screen while he's searching for whatever lie he needs to dig out in that instance to refract the targets, to move them, to make them work at whatever refraction rate he's fudging. He was lying then, he's lying now. Well, we're in a world riddled with deception, and Rumpus is at the tip of that spear for the globe Earth. A proven liars at the tip of your spear, globe defenders. Now, following in suit, or in tow, are all the other lying bastards like Rumpus and Katz, who've also done the same thing with their geometry, and are now trying to get away from it by burning flat Earth strawmen with angular size representations that don't exist in their maths. Well, they have also done the same thing Rumpus has. When are they going to be held accountable? I want them next, not Rumpus. I've chopped off the tip of the spear, that's Rumpus the lying bastard, telling us he's refracted everything when he drew tangents back at the Isle of Man. That was what he was claiming to prove. The bloody Earth curve at the end of the straight line that he didn't refract and is now lying about. Now I want the other heads. All the other dicks that came here. Gem Panda, I want his head. Yeah, you drew a tangent, dick brain. Now you're going to pay for it. Yeah, we dealt with you for 3 years lying to us. Now you didn't appreciate like Rumpus did with his Andrew Thomas Young diagram to hand when he lied about refracted targets. Maybe you were just complicit in a lie you didn't realise. Well, now we've told you how your lie is relevant with the Black Swan and you've all hand-waved it for 18 months. Now I've chopped off the head of Rumpus with his lies as a direct consequence. Now, as a beautiful little bonus, Katz has thrown perspective right back into the mix just in time for us to point out how you don't have it, as we start chopping off your heads for the tangents you drew and claimed were Earth curve, proven at the horizon you don't have anymore. Well, I want all your heads. I want Rumpus's head 5 times. That's already stuck on a spike.
They had to throw perspective back in the mix after telling us for how long that shit we made up. Good job, guys.
they take their measurements from a flat plane and then they use trigonometry to get some kind of angular size and then put it back in side view again to try to say that that's not true. It doesn't make any sense. Like, they don't understand scaling, I think.
They've already got maths for their assertion of a sphere. Converting things to then use it in the maths is like, well, you've already got the maths, why would you need to make conversions? Same goes for Google Earth. Why are they having to take heights from Google Earth and then create a diagram or a depiction that doesn't in any way conform, comport, or match what is represented there and then in that model of elevation profiles with no drop? Why would you need to do anything? It would just be there. Now, for any newbies, this is going to be a bit of a shock because we're reaching the end of the argument. Thanks to the Black Swan, we met and exceeded it back in 2021. We're already game over. So it might be a bit of a shock when you see someone like Rumpus come along. Now, will Katz and co have the same sort of courage that Rumpus does? No, of course not.
Do you think he'll ever,
Rumpus,
or any baller will ever
Rumpus.
say the geometric horizon is not a real measurement, Nathan?
They've all told us we don't see it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Like, they basically told us that the minute they told us we've never seen it. Don't even expect to see it. So then you ain't measuring shit then, are you? What the fuck?
One of them even stated the
wrap
logical
after that.
consistency conclusion. So thanks to Mr. Sensible, at best you've debunked the radius. We can now quote that. Logical consistency conclusion, the only conclusion that can be drawn, and it debunks the very thing that we were pointing out after the Isle of Man when we held Mick West to task. Well, you just assume, Mick. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's tolerable? Well, yeah. Why? Well, because we just know. Well, it's perfectly acceptable. Everyone knows it's consensus. So what have we got to do? We've got to get right in there and beg the question with them, haven't we? Then just show them exactly how wrong their radius value is that they use for everything. Including claiming that Earth curve edge gets in the way of the Isle of Man. That's what they've claimed when they drew those tangents.
The
So
trouble I've
what's wrong
noted
with
with
you, man? Why don't you just accept the R that's based on the standard model? Why don't you just accept that?
It doesn't exist.
So the stories of Al-Biruni and Eratosthenes throughout the window, right?
Can I just point out, if we were to assume flat, they would have chickens. They would go mental. They would be laying eggs every 2 seconds because they won't let us assume flat. But it's all right for them to assume sphere.
It'd be nice if you could measure this so-called sphere, but you can't. They've already conceded that when they refracted the horizon.
Yeah, but we start with observing flat. So where do we observe sphere? You
No.
tell me that. Oh, thanks. What does science start with again? Even though it's not a scientific question, what do we start with? Observation.
What have you got, Bundies? Is the best you've got that can come here to defend the lie of the heliocentric model to a bunch of flat earthers? The best you've got is a proven liar. Why aren't you all here proving how stupid we are, as you all think that's the case? There's an open door for you to come and humiliate us, right? And instead, the tip of your sphere's just been snapped off by me. Proven beyond all demonstrable facts of logic or truth as a liar.
Aren't they all calling Al-Biruni a liar since he didn't know about refraction and said he saw it?
Yeah, when someone like AB Science says nobody claims we see geometry, nobody claims we've got a physical geometric horizon, in essence, well, what the hell were you measuring to acquire R with? Oh, well, we were within 5% of something we can never acquire to validate if we're anywhere near anything that we can't see.
Yeah, the claim was physical geometry up until the Black Swan. It was a claim that you could measure it.
Yeah, measure it and show how much of it we can demonstrate blocking things in the distance. What's that? It doesn't match with how much it should block based on its physicality that we can measure. Well, the targets are refracted with respect to the physical geometry we can measure. What's that? You can't measure it anymore. Well, we always refracted the horizon. No, you didn't. You drew a straight line to it to claim it was Earth curve. Got hours and hours of you fundies all lying to us. And we just want to know, let's make it a little bit more sympathetic to people like Ruhif. Were you just dumb, Ruhif? Didn't you realise when you drew your tangent that it was bunk? Just ignorant, right? Come and tell us. You were just dumb. You didn't know that that refracted horizon wasn't capable of developing a tangent for you to draw when you made your big head claims that were all wrong as of 2020. We just need to know that it was just stupidity on your part when you drew that straight line you don't have anymore. That's what we want. We just want to know how dumb you are, Ruhif.
Ruhif couldn't spell
Nathan,
cat.
you're
if you spotted him
downplaying it. You said
Ruhif couldn't spell cat if you spotted him the C and the A. I'd like to get back to Rumpus for a second. Tomorrow on the Numpty Clips is his official passing, so make sure you tune in. This is going to be, it's going to be a landmark. Number one. Number two, he officially passed away about 4 days after I come out here and debated his dumb ass and drug him around by his short hair in June 2016. Just pull up the video on my channel, the Rumpus Debate. It's on the debate playlist. Number three. This little 5% bullshit started with an apparent horizon and the geometric horizon, two horizons. Well, the geometric horizon is apparent. So I don't know where you're conjuring this other horizon from. That's the 5%, not 5% of the radius. The apparent horizon and the geometric horizon. They're saying the geometric horizon is within 5% of the apparent. That's number four. Number five. Even given them paradoxical refraction, these numpty dipshits have conjured something in their mind that if you raise yourself up on a mountain or something and you look down, refraction's less. Let me ask you something. How many density/temperature layers are you looking down through as compared to if you're looking at something at the same elevation at ground level? Can somebody answer me that? Can you riddle me that?
More based on their explanations.
What kind of friggin' shroom-induced comas is going on out here? And you flat earthers that are out here listening to these arguments and are not dealing with them directly, going off on some tangent, I'm coming after you. Okay? Now, you're not going to get a numpty clip because those are ball-tarts, but I'm coming after you because it's about time you raise your games. Or you shouldn't be out here. Got it? Thanks.
Yeah, the last time I argued about the geometry of Earth, the globe head wanted to say refraction and move on. And I was like, okay, well, let's back up. We need to talk about this measurement you're claiming. And he was like, I already dealt with refraction. He wouldn't even acknowledge it.
Yeah, he already conceded that he has no measurement by saying refraction. That's what he did.
Right.
He just didn't even know he was doing that. Clowns.
Yeah. And when I'd point that out, he would just say, I've already dealt with that. I've already dealt with that. Like, he's going into some kind of...
Keep telling us it's refraction, guys. Keep telling us it's optical and not geometric. That's why you're saying it's refraction, because you have no geometry. So keep going with that.
Yeah,
We're okay with that.
Got to know the bait and switch that's taking place. As QE is completely valid in terms of taking apart their one side of the coin where they're asserting actual refractive effects, which are real. But their claim, which they're later going to bait and switch for 7/6 or any variant of an R value that they haven't got anymore, they're going to describe an atmospheric effect. And they'll describe it as such so that they can get away with using the R in their sphere-shaped air. But they'll ultimately assert something nonsensical where typically they'd be fairly educated and even be able to back up their claims of what happens in the area we see with our eyes, let's just say, versus their bait and switch for a 7/6 R value in a geometric maths that's been debunked because it doesn't have a geometric R value to acquire anymore.
Could I cover that one on the Black Pulse one? I think I've seen where the bait and switch is occurring on this one. When we take the straw mans that they want us to swallow, and and we take the flat plane orthographic view, we do the representation and lay it all out as so. I then did it on a ball based on the geometry of their R. What they're doing is bait and switching early on. So instead of taking the geometric numbers and placing them on the geometry, they take the metabunk data from the observer and calculate the hidden. So with respect to, say, the furthest mountain, if you just take it on the geometry places the base of the mountain 600 meters lower than the feet of the observer. If you take the numbers which Ruhif does, which is to take the observer hidden, then suddenly that mountain is only placed on their geometry 400 meters lower. So they're scared of their own R is too big for them to mitigate for. So what they're doing early on is bait and switching their geometry for the optical straight away. And that's what they then render in their maths for angular size reduction at distance.
I see. So they do the calculation,
and it's like
the flat
a
earth
magic
straw man
word.
that they're about
They
to
do it with.
burn, and then after they've burnt it, they compare what they're left with when doing the calculations to what they get as a drop value. So they're just making the comparison and saying, look, it is the same as this value in the maths.
Well, the orthographic view is laid out as an orthographic. The view is in there, but what they're doing is laying it out as if it's the way the observer views it. So you can look down over
I
it.
see. So instead of taking a picture, turning it side on and putting it through the maths, they're doing it the other way around.
Yeah.
They're taking what you've got in the orthographic view and saying that's how it's represented in the picture. In other words, removing perspective from what you've looked at in the picture because they're representing it with the height values they take from what you just described as a flat elevation profile. That would be Google Earth. So they're doing it the other way around. Very useful, Adam. Well spotted.
Yeah, it's a bit naughty. The net effect is there's still 200 meters there. They raise the mountain 200 meters, so it's curvature. They don't then have to accommodate for in their angular size because they've already brought it up, given it an extra 200 meters of height before they then shrink it at distance. But if they shrank it at distance at the right height, it would render too low for them. So that's why they've done the bait and switch early.
Right. So they're taking, and it seems justifiable as well. Initially, they're doing it as a flat representation to burn later. But yeah, read between the lines. So when they get their height values in orthographic view, where do they get them from? Oh, well, they get them from a flat representation.
They take the flat representation, stick it into the metabunk, tilt the camera down, which is not in any of the mathematics when for the purpose of this is to translate it into orthographic view. They then allow that angle down to be the refracted to just then justify just taking the refracted hidden value. And that's where they then geometrically place the base of the mountain, which is, you see, it's not on R then, it's on 7/6 R is what they're placing it on.
Adam, when you say hidden value, is that hidden by things that we can't see? What's that hidden by?
That would be hidden by their assumed geometrics, yeah.
That we can't see.
That we can't see, but then look over the thing that they can't see and down.
Right, so you have to look down. You have to look down to see the sphere, except, yeah, it's going to be blocked by the ground, but then you just resort back to your old habits of looking inside of your mind of what the globe looks like, and that's how it works.
Yeah, you're looking down to take the numbers to plot in orthographic. That's not right, yeah? You're taking the numbers from looking down to then turn it into your orthographic view, but your orthographic view should be representative of the topography. But in doing that, you raise the mountains. You make it a 7/6 R instead of a 6/6 R side profile. Yeah, that's where they've been naughty.
Correct. But also, you shouldn't have to do it at all. What should be the case, if we were on a sphere, is that the elevation profiles would represent it exactly like that. There'd be drop. There wouldn't be any doing anything. There'd just be, here it is, it's measured with the drop. There you go. Instead,
Well, Nathan-
here it is measured flat with no drop. Now, if we convert using angular sizes on a flat plane so it makes sense when we get the heights inside profile from a flat map and then convert them to the globe maths, we can say how much should have been dropped behind the sphere Earth edge that we're not going to be claiming in this particular instance. Correct?
Even though it's not.
Yeah. Also, on a sphere,
Even though we can still see those things that you're claiming we shouldn't be able to see, but we still see them. Don't worry about that.
on a sphere, things like long-distance straight line-of-sight guns would have never become developed. They would have never really moved on beyond mortars, because you always have to shoot at a great distance over that hill.
Oh, no, it's
So,
worse
like,
than that.
sniper
You're
rifles
right.
become almost useless.
That's correct, you're right, but it's much, much worse than that, and I'll quote QE's here. All military action would be rendered useless if it was the case that we're on a sphere.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I'm spotting a pattern here with Andrew Thomas Young leading the charge. All refraction calculations were based on the flat plane before
Correct.
he converts it.
Correct.
Didn't he say that though?
Yep.
Correct. Yes, he did.
You don't even got to interpret that. He literally said that.
No, he
There
said
you go,
that.
Wilbers.
I got it. I'll put it in live stream.
As with all the demonstrations you ever see ever. So if you see someone using butane to refract something, well, they're not doing it over a curved surface. They've just got a barrel at the end of a room and they're just filming it. It's not going to be scaled anywhere in anybody's demonstration ever to prove terrestrial refraction. That's part of the bait and switch. Show them the effect of light bending through sugar water that's settled in a gradient and say, look, light bends. You go, yeah, like, you're right, it does bend. And then, without telling you, they'll go, therefore, light bends through a sphere-shaped air we'll call atmosphere at a rate of 7/6 of the radius, we're assuming. Because it's the same thing. You go, yeah, of course. Sugar water, light bending through it. When I look through the sugar water, that's the same as me seeing the side of my own head and light bending around a sphere at 7/6. They're the same thing, of course. And when Anthony asks somebody who perpetuates that nonsense, like Mick West, hey, Mick, why would it be the case that you assert 7/6R and then when you say click here to get your citations for Y, they don't even have R mentioned at all? Why would that be the case? He says, because they're the same thing.
Nathan, you just reminded me of something that I had forgotten. The butane over the barrel. Yeah, you make a great point. If that was supposed to be terrestrial refraction demonstrated, the camera should have been on top of the barrel, getting the butane poured right on top of the lens, right? Because it's supposed to be a ground level effect, not something you see really high up when you look down on the Earth, which is kind of the model that is displayed with that setup. It's ridiculous.
Chocolate. It's in Master B, Ballbusters, and the War Room.
Thank you. I've put it up on the screen for the audience. Just for
Copy
QE's, again, because QE was the one who took me through this logic. Does light refract? Not rhetorical.
Yes.
Yes.
Is light refracting the same as 7/6 of a radius value?
Nope.
How would
That's
you know?
terrestrial
How could you tell? You'd have to know what R is to be able to compare it to.
But it can.
What is it? Two
refraction-
different things. First you said light, then you said a geometric radius. Two different things.
Yeah.
Refraction
geometry-
is an angle change. It's not a continuing curve. That's impossible. Then the medium it would be going through would have to continually become more have a higher refraction
Yeah, they've got it
index
covered.
in a weird
Yes,
process.
they've got that covered. Yes. Mentioned it already. They call it atmosphere, Arwin. Sphere-shaped air. They already have that assumption within their begging the question fallacy when they dictate to you that light bending, regardless of how or why or what rate, light bending, normally through a transition of a medium, is the same as the medium change in atmosphere when looking from your vantage point. Then the light will, as a standard, bend at the rate of 7/6 of the radius. However, When they make that declaration, that description of light bending at the rate of 7/6 of the radius takes place in an orthographic representation when depicted how the maths calculates it. Therefore, you're seeing the side of your own head, not looking through a fish tank.
Right. But it's still wrong, though, because it's not the same, because the atmospheric layering, the gradient, it's flat. It's a flat gradient, or spherical if you presuppose that, but it's an equal layer you're looking through when you look horizontal. So that's not actually a continually increasing refraction index medium you're looking through. It's the stable same medium. So that could never lead to a circular refraction, right?
Indeed. With that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, or became a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on a premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!